move to the guy that we kept bringing up in conversation, and that's
Sure.
Mac Jones. And so let me give you my thoughts on Mac Jones, okay? I think he might be the cleanest of all these quarterbacks when you just watch him play football. It's clean. He's got nice feet. He's got good feel. He throws with nice touch. He's accurate. He's got everything. He's got all the old school quarterback traits, the it factor, the anticipation, the touch. And I think I said it, we talked about it.
He has no tools. Zero.
The first time we talked about it, I think I said that I don't think he's that far from Tua. I think it's like very similar in how close they are. Maybe Tua was a little better, but now I know you've gone and said you think he's better than Tua.
From what I've seen, I think he's better than, because I actually feel like Tua's physical tools were way overstated. He doesn't have a big arm. He's not particularly elusive.
He's really small. He's really small.
So I'm looking at Mac Jones, who also has no physical traits that stand out. He doesn't have a strong arm. He's not mobile. He's not elusive. But he has all the little things that Tua plays like an athlete. And Mac Jones knows his limitations. I do think Mac Jones is a better player.
So here's where I stand with Mac Jones, okay? And I need somebody to explain this to me. And it goes to, how do you separate evaluating the player from evaluating the college system they play in? And the Alabama offense is phenomenal. But I think that Fields would get a system upgrade. I think that the Alabama offense is just, as a system, better than most offenses that Mac Jones or Tua are going to end up playing.
You can say that about LSU, though. I mean, with Joe Brady there. You can say that about that, you know? I'm telling you, I think Mac Jones is better than Joe Brady, but everything you're going to say about Mac Jones applies to – I think Mac Jones is better than Joe Burrow. Excuse me. Let me try again. I think Joe Burrow is better than Mac Jones. But everything you're going to say about Mac Jones applies to Joe. It took me 4 tries. I got the words out, though. I did.
I haven't made my point yet. My point is, how do you separate evaluating what Mac Jones does, because he's gotten NFL coaching, right? He's gotten Steve Sarkisian, Nick Saban, 2 NFL-level coaches. How do you separate that, like, those little things that you say he does as a passer? How much of it is he's coached to do these things, and how much of it is that he's actually capable of doing those things? And you brought up Joe Burrow. And the 2 things I want to mention with Joe Burrow is, they had a system with NFL pass concepts, but here was the difference between Joe Burrow and Mac Jones. Joe Burrow was in shot, 4 wide receivers out, and Joe Burrow dictated pre-snap what he did with their offense. Joe Brady wasn't calling plays to go to specific guys. Joe Burrow was dictating pre-snap what he did with the offense, and Joe Burrow post-snap was also dictating what he did with the offense. And 2, the most important thing with Joe Burrow, and I think it gets pointed out a lot, is that he was able to create a lot of plays when the play call wasn't there for him. With Mac Jones, we see that here and there. You know, we see a nice little scramble when it's not there. We see an occasional roll out of the pocket and make a play. But I don't think that Joe Burrow is even near the comparison, because Joe Burrow, broken play, free rusher, he'll make the free rusher miss, run around and throw a 35-yard deep ball. It was like watching Peyton Manning with mobility in college. That's kind of what he was like. So I don't think that that's a fair comparison. I know that you think he's better, so I think you stand right there in the same boat that Burrow is. With Jones, honestly, I'm just conflicted, because it's clean, it's good. To me, it looks like a guy that should be about maybe an end of a first round, beginning of the second round type pick in terms of talent. He's clean enough where I would just take him in the first round to get the 5th-year option. But I don't know how much he's going to improve, because he's already possibly gotten the best coaching he's ever going to get in his entire career.
Well, here's what I see when I watch Mac Jones on film. I think it's a really good point. You have to try to find something that looks like what it's going to look like in the NFL, because at Ohio State and Alabama, a lot of the time that guy's just chilling. I call it playing quarterback in a rocking chair. I think that creates an image. You're chilling back there. There's no stress. It's like your blood pressure, your blood is way low. You're chilling. So what do I see from him? In the brief times when he's in a pocket that constricts, doesn't even collapse, it constricts, and there are bodies around him. You hear Kyle Shanahan talk about that. How does he play with bodies around him? I just see he'll bail. And it's subtle. It's like, well, he's scrambling. That's okay. When you go back, like, no. Let's go back, Mac. That's an NFL pocket. You have to stand and deliver from there. And what he looks like in those pockets is small, unathletic, nervous. And that scares me, because Jared Goff was great in college. I mean, Jared Goff was just as good as Mac Jones, or better, right? And the issue with Jared Goff is that when the pocket constricts.
He can't
Doesn't even collapse. He can't handle it. And I really think that's going to be Mac Jones as well. I think he's a hell of a player, but he might be, what is the word? Soft, I guess? A little soft? I'm sorry. I mean, I think Jared Goff is freaking soft. I think Jimmy Garoppolo has questions. I mean, he's the dude who did 3 pirouettes in one play. And with Mac Jones, I'm questioning it because he doesn't show the willingness to just stand there when the pocket collapses. I have seen him like stare down a blitzer, an unblocked guy, and take the hit. That's great. But it's another thing when there's this bodies all around you and you are unfazed. Maybe it's just because he's little. Maybe it's because Alabama's not used to it. I don't know.
I think that's a really interesting point. I haven't watched Mac Jones enough to see that.
It's like a play or two a game. It's hard to find those clips in Alabama.
Which is why I've been sticking with this question. I've just been asking every single person, how do you go about your evaluation of Mac Jones? Because those that will attribute it to the system and all of that will say, well, it's all the coaching. Don't take him in the first round. And then the other guys say, well, yeah, the coaching is really great. The system is really great. The receivers are really great, but he's also doing a lot of things operating within it. And I think, again, I spoke to Crocker earlier, and I think he put it best to me. He said, the one thing you can be convinced with Mac Jones is that you've seen him operate an NFL-style offense in an NFL-style manner, being able to play on time and on schedule. And if seeing is believing for you, you haven't seen Justin Fields in an NFL-style offense having to do those types of things. You haven't seen Zach Wilson even. Yeah. I mean, there's NFL-style concepts and stuff, but you haven't seen him do it in the fashion a coach would like Mac Jones did. So that's why I understand why people really gravitates towards Mac Jones. To me, ultimately, I think right now I would say that I would take him in the first round, but only at the end of it to get his 5th-year option.
Yeah. To me, I mean, I keep comparing him to Jimmy. I think they have about the same stature, and I think he's better than Jimmy. I think he's smarter than Jimmy. I think he's more decisive than Jimmy. I think he sees the field better than Jimmy. I think he's got a much better deep ball than Jimmy. That being said, that's about what you're getting. He doesn't move that well. He's not that big. Physically, there are 0 traits about him that you would say that stand out. Nothing.
This is my comp right here. I've had this comp in my back pocket, but Adam Barnaby gets credit for it because he beat me to it on mentioning it. I think he's Andy Dalton. That's who I see. But the big difference, I think, is that with Andy Dalton coming out of TCU, if I remember correctly, there was supposed to be something special about Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton was a 4-year starter in college. Can we just make that point? He was a 4-year starter at TCU. This guy's played 17 games at Alabama. It's a difference. I don't know if Mac Jones is ready to play right away. Just because he's a pocket passer?
I'm not saying he's Andy Dalton, meaning he's going to have Andy Dalton's career. I'm saying he reminds me of Andy Dalton in terms of his abilities. And
Andy Dalton's a 2nd-round pick. Look, if you could take Mac Jones, Andy Dalton was what? He was the
33rd pick.
35th pick in the draft. I'm cool with taking Mac Jones with the 35th pick. I think that'd be a solid pick for any NFL team. But 8? There was a report that he's going to be the 8, no less. Hey, good luck. I'm not doing that. No, not me.
Grant's not doing it.